Hey Kadir, how's it going?
How are you?
Wonderful. I'm trying this new Zoom setup. I used to have it set up in my room, but it looked like some kind of like dungeon, you know. It looked like I was being
How-
tortured. So this is look at this. This is news for me, not
so-
for you.
so
Um,
you-
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm super excited to talk to you. Without knowing that I was a huge fan of yours, I've seen your work over the years so many times. So I just want to thank you for all that you've done. Um, I want to lead with Blackish. How did that collaboration come about?
well, I created a piece of artwork for Blackish a few years ago for the Please Baby Please episode one. I created the artwork for the book Please Baby Please, which
Mhm.
Ray's character is reading um, to I think Devante, and um, they also wanted to expand the episode to create artwork to talk about what was going on in the world at the time. So, there was an existing relationship there, and um, I'm not sure where the idea came from, but we got a call and said that they were looking to they wanted me to do the key art for the new season. So, I was being a fan of the show. I was really thrilled to have that opportunity.
Yeah. I know that you get, obviously commissioned a lot to do stuff or asked to do stuff a lot. Are there ever situations where you're watching something where you're like, I have to work on this, and you reach out to them?
No, I wouldn't. That hasn't happened. I mean, I think if anything, it might be a thought. Like, man, it'd be great to do something for this or
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I have a long list of projects that I'm already working on. So those dream projects don't always come to fruition, at least immediately. A lot of it, what I'm concentrating on is what's on my plate in front of me, at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. You're one of the most prolific artists I've ever seen. Um,
Mhm.
what do you do to sort of this is a question I was going to say for later in the interview, but what do you sort of do to recharge your batteries? Like how do you stay so prolific?
I think the key is to work on projects that you really love
Mm-hmm.
and are interested in, because they often take a long time, especially book projects. So, if I'm going to be working on something, I want to enjoy my time working on it. So I just pick projects that I'm really interested in, that I want to learn about. If I don't know about a specific subject, then and I'm interested in it, so I'll choose that project. But the only way to really burn yourself out is to be working on projects that you really don't love and doing it too much. This can't be the
Mm-hmm.
only thing you do.
Yeah. Um, I know that earlier I watched a CBS interview with you, and I saw this like incredible work that you've done around COVID. Has this year, I guess, have you done any more work related to COVID since then? And also, just maybe you could talk about how the events of this year have impacted your creations generally.
Well, I think of the work that I've done this year, not specifically relating to COVID. M- Maybe it's more about the after effect, or
Mm-hmm.
COVID serving as a catalyst to amplify what we've already been dealing with, opening up old wounds.
Yeah.
So, as far as what I started the year out thinking that I was going to be working on one specific project, and then we all got pulled in a totally different direction. And as artists, uh, we document our times.
Mm-hmm.
We express the innermost feelings, aspirations, angst of the human race. And we're telling our stories. And this is a big, really memorable part of the human story.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've took it upon myself to really grab that by the horns and create artwork that would express what I'm going through, what we're all going through. And so
Mhm.
that's really what's happened this year. And I think a number of artists are doing that. And that's our
Mhm.
responsibility.
Yeah, and I know that you're LA based as I am, and it's like I feel like it's unique. It's sort of unique here in particular because LA is already can already be such like a lonely place. You know, it can already be sort of isolating. I don't even own a car. I can't see anyone. But I know that, early on in your life, going between like Atlantic City and San Diego and then going back to Brooklyn, do you feel like your experience on both coasts gives your art a particularly unique American perspective because you sort of have seen a range of America?
I would say that growing up on both coasts certainly has impacted who I am as a person. And then that, of course, is going to affect the work that I do.
Mhm.
Um, there's always this nostalgia we have this nostalgia for our youths. And since I was born and until the age of lived on the East Coast, I always yearn, and my family, most of my family is there. So I always yearn, there's always this yearning to go back, or this nostalgia that reappears and reemerges in my work.
Mhm.
So that I think that's where a lot of the New Yorkers come from. New Yorker
Mhm.
covers come from. Went to college in New York, went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. So a lot of that, those are formative years. So a lot of that's going to, show up in my work. And then also being on the West Coast, which is, very, very different, very relaxed, more
Mhm.
relaxed, more relaxed, I would say,
Mhm.
than it is on the. So that's basically who I am, and that's what my work looks like.
Yeah, and speaking of your training, I read that you got some early training from your uncle, Michael Morris, and I know that you've obviously worked on a lot of children's titles and got a Caldecott Award. Is that a very important part of your legacy? I do like, is part of your mission to get kids into art? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I create art for everybody, for all ages, even
Mm-hmm.
though it may look very specific. At one point, I'd say, early on, like the early books, like Please Baby Please or All God's Critters, those are very much child-focused books, but they also appeal to their parents and to adults, So
Yeah.
that's always been my mission when it comes to children's books. I don't like to call them children's books. I call them picture books because, I'm creating artwork for everybody, and they are really a child's introduction to art.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, and they understand. We as human beings understand from a very early age. We understand a visual language. So even when we can't talk when we're children, we're still having thoughts and emotions, and you can read that in children's eyes and through body movements and what have you. So that's it's very much part of the art that I create. I'm very conscious of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting that you said it because I think about my childhood and I think of, some of the art that stayed with me. And I remember like Where the Wild Things Are, for example, and being just like so terrified of those creatures and, and how that feeling, so, moves into your adulthood and stuff like that and affects, how you operate in your day to day. So that's really interesting. One thing that I know, for me, your work feels very musical. I feel like, there's a lot of flow to it and also there's a lot of form to it. Are there any musicians who inspire you?
Uh, Certainly, I'm currently working on a book on American music.
Oh, nice.
So, I didn't really understand the history of music until I began working on that book. And, um, I early on as a kid, probably up until um, more recently, before working on the book, I wasn't really a big fan of the blues. Uh,
Mm,
but learning about where it came from, how it developed, um, I've developed an appreciation for the music. Now I love it. So I would say many of the blues artists, jazz artists, I'm really a big fan of the building blocks of American music. So all of what went into creating or forming American music is really what I'm really interested in, what I really love.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you can tell I asked that question because I'm a musician. So I just had to know, you know. Um, what do you say? Sorry.
I can tell by the
Yeah,
headphones.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Got to be comfortable because I'm wearing them all the time. You talked a lot about hope in the interviews that I saw, about you wanting your work to give people hope. What in particular gives you hope?
I think really having something to look forward to every day is what gives me hope. Looking all around my immediate surroundings, and then all, you know, extending to all around the world, having an appreciation of for life, for people in my life. I think all of that really gives me hope. You know, just going out and seeing things are still growing, the animals are still tending to the land. Hopefully, you know, people will do that a bit more. That we'll take care of our you know, our home, our planet. But all of that still gives me hope, because when the world withdrew for those first few months of COVID, we got to see that, you know, nature started to take over again, you know, to become closer to the balance that it's, you know, it's supposed to. Unfortunately, it's kind of going back the other way since we're out in the world a lot
Right.
more, but it gives me hope that life will go on.
Yeah, that's my time is wrapping up here, but I was just watching Watchmen last night, and you saying those words. There's like a scene where Dr. Manhattan is like regrowing the Earth, or like regrowing like this other planet, Europa, or something like that. And I don't know, it just gave me a vision. That's all I have to say. I really appreciate you talking with me. You're an inspiration, and I just wish you continued success.
Thank you. I appreciate that.